Well, here we are. It is in the middle of the last week of the Feast for the Soul. And I know we have some Awaken Wednesday participants too. And I'm so happy to be here with you. I know we talked over the last 3 weeks about three transcendentalists from actually Massachusetts, and they were known as the American Transcendentalists, that shifted a mindset from each of us being individuals, following the rules and basically being sinners, to recognizing that each and every one of us is awareness itself. So today, on the theme of transcendence, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about transcendence in meditation. A lot of you have heard of transcendental meditation. A lot of you practice it. It was the original, the OG meditation in the United States anyway. And why was it called transcendental meditation? Why was this brand name branded as transcendental meditation? Because it was, I'm not going to say surefire, but it was a pretty dependable way to take one's awareness from all the charming world out there, all the sights and smells and sensations and activities and opinions, and move the attention inward to the source of your attention. Now, right now, I imagine you're listening to me. Maybe not, but you probably wouldn't be here if you weren't. So right now, I imagine you're listening to me. And in this example, there's you and your gentle attention. There's my voice or my image. And then there's the process of connecting, communing, or listening, right? There's the knower, that's you. There's the known, that's me. And there's the process of knowing through your senses, through your mind, through your experience. And so with transcendence, what happens is there's a fusion. There's a fusion, and you cannot make it happen. There's a fusion between the knower, you, the known, me, or the world around you. You can look outside your window, or you can look at your hands, or you can think about people you love. There is a fusion. And this is what happens in meditation, is you fuse your attention to the object of it. Now, in transcendental meditation, they had us fuse our attention to a mantra, a simple word that probably was in Sanskrit, that probably had to do with an Indian goddess, called a bija mantra. And though we were not told what the mantra meant, eventually we all found out that's what they were. And it's really not so much what the mantra is, it's that it carries one's experience from the world of activity into the world of the experiencer. And because I've written a lot of books and wrote a lot about meditation, I've always thought about attention, your attention, my attention. Where does it arise from? Ask yourself that question right now. Where does your attention arise from? I bet some of you will point to your heads. It comes from my brain. And is that true? Where does your attention arise from? I've given this some thought over the years, and it's like, have you ever done that meditation with me or with Dan Siegel, that wheel of awareness? Where in the middle of this meditation, we're pointing the spokes of this wheel out to our experience, what we smell, see, taste, touch, feel. And then all of a sudden, we turn the spoke inward, paying attention to the one who's paying attention. What you might notice is there's no thing there. There's just a presence. There's just a presence. And in transcendental meditation, we use what's called a mantra, which translates as instrument for the mind, to go from the world of activity into the subtler and subtler experience of your own mind. And eventually, you bump into the thinker of the thought, the experiencer, the seer, the listener, the taster, the smeller, the toucher. You eventually transcend all of that, your roles, responsibilities, and you dive into this field of awareness. And this is the field that everything arises from. At least that's what the American Transcendentalists would say. I like to think of this fusion the way the sun is lit. Hydrogen atoms, or hydrogen protons, they fuse with themselves. And what comes out from that? What comes up from that is these photons, light particles. So there's always in fusion, there's two elements and let off a big blast of light. And maybe that's what happens when we, each of us, when we meditate, we bump into ourselves. We bump into ourselves through this practice of meditation. So I was looking through Chat GPT to find out, did these people actually meditate? Did these American Transcendentalists actually meditate? Well, it turns out they did not in the typical sense, although Ralph Waldo Emerson would do what's known today as a mindful walking practice out in the world, recognizing his ego and his self-image would disappear in light of the beauty of nature. And that was his tried and true way of merging with the object of his experience. He says the thinking mind fell silent, personal concerns recede, and one feels absorbed into nature or spirit. So then I wanted to read one more thing. Here. This is what Emerson wrote in the early 1800s. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air, I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. What he's trying to describe here, we have no real words for it, is presence. Losing track of self and concerns and image and what other people think of us and what's going on in the world, and simply being present or presence. So today I thought we could do a few meditation techniques. The first one we've done before is self-inquiry. And we're going to spend a little bit of time asking ourselves a few questions over and over again. And we don't have to come up with any answers. It's a good practice, and one that ChatGPT is not going to be able to answer, and Google cannot come up with a satisfying response to some of these questions. And then we will practice a mantra meditation. Now, there are three experiences you can have in meditation. The first is your mind can start moving. Right? You have lots of thoughts and images and colors and to-do lists, and even the mantra's a thought. So the mind moves, right? The body moves sometimes. You may have noticed the breath changes, or the heart goes faster or slower, or you even twitch a little bit, or some of us sway. That's an experience you can have in meditation. So the mind moves, the body moves, and then the emotions can move, right? You can feel a sudden moment of bliss or anxiety. So movement is one category of experience that you can have in meditation. Mind, body, and emotional movement. Second category is you can fall asleep. And if you happen to be tired, you can certainly fall asleep. And it's an indicator that your body is looking for the deepest rest and getting rid of the most stress, because sleep is the number one way to relieve stress. And there's nothing wrong with sleeping, but if you fall asleep on a regular basis, you might need to look at your sleeping patterns, find out what's getting in the way of sleep. And I know some of you teachers out there, Cheryl, are dealing with people that fall asleep in your class. And that can be a little challenging, especially because the primordial sound that we all end up listening to is the sound of snoring. And so sleep is not meditation. That's the bottom line. Sleep is not meditation, but it is an indicator that your body needs deeper rest. And the last experience, which is not really an experience, is that fusion I was talking about, the subject-object fusion. You're repeating the mantra, you're repeating the mantra, you're repeating the mantra, and eventually the mantra dissipates, your awareness of you and your self-concern dissipates, and all that's left is presence. That's the fusion I'm talking about. That presence is steeped in this field of all possibilities, this field of wholeness, of silence, of dynamism, of purity, this field of intelligence, this field of synchronicity. And so even if we don't think anything's happened in meditation, because quite often when we're in the field of transcendence, we don't know it because there's no subject object. And the minute we have the thought, oh, where was I? You're no longer in what's called the gap. So this is where transcendence really, I think, is one of the most nourishing experiences we can have in meditation. But you cannot make it happen. We can only set ourselves up to succeed. So we're going to meditate in just a moment. First, I want to go over, and I bet I could have you all recite these 5 essentials. Number 1, thoughts are okay in meditation, but when you notice that you're in the middle of a daydream or planning your next 48 hours, you bring your attention back to the practice again and again and again. Secondly, be kind to yourself in there, okay? Catch yourself when you're beating yourself up or giving yourself too much to do or making plans to be better. Forget all that. Be kind to yourself. You are lovable and perfect just as you are. You have to take it from me until you become self-realized. Third, don't try to transcend, because trying is a mental activity. What Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. Do not try to merge subject-object, because that is requiring effort. And this is a natural experience that trying really doesn't help. So we're just going to innocently repeat a mantra or ask a question, and then we'll go back to, when you notice you're trying, you go back to the practice. And let's see, you've done this meditation with me before probably, and if you have, just see if you can apply your beginner's mind, a mind free from preconceived notions about what we're going to be doing here. And lastly, let's stick with the whole practice. We're going to be doing about 20 minutes. We'll have time at the end of the meditation to ask questions. I won't record the questions and answers, and if you want to hang out and go into a breakout room, I know some of you enjoy that. So, sitting comfortably, eyes closed or gazing toward the floor. I'll be keeping track of the time for you. And let's begin. First let's think about why we're here, why you're here. What is it you want to start the new year right, the year of the fire horse, to navigate these challenging experiences of being a human, to find peace in your day? Just allow your mind to rest on your intention. Maybe dropping your attention to the heart. A friend of mine, Byron Katie, says, bring your ego into your heart. Bring your ego into your heart. It just wants love. So we'll begin by taking 3 long, slow, deep breaths, ideally at your own pace, in and out through the nose. Breathing in slowly and fully, and exhaling slowly and completely. Allowing your breath right now to return to its natural rhythm and depth. And throughout this practice, there's no need to control or regulate anything. Let go of the governor of you. Allow yourself to settle into the stillness as you breathe naturally, in and out through the nose. And as you sit here, resting, relaxing, you might become a little more aware of the sounds around you. Listening without the need to figure out the source of the sound or decide if you like the sound or not. So let everything be here, because it's here anyway. Listening to the soundscape of sounds near and far. As you sit here practicing contentment, being content with this moment, content with the sounds, content with your natural breathing. You can turn your attention to your body. Inviting any tight places to soften. Any tension to let go. And bathing your body in your loving attention. Making any micro adjustments you need to do to get more comfortable, to feel more supported, to be more content. As you sit here breathing naturally, I invite you to bring your attention to the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Maybe sensing a glow, a warmth. And you can silently ask yourself, who am I? Now you don't have to answer this question, but simply asking the question is enough. Invite this question a few times, and then return to sit in the stillness and the silence. Who am I? If you notice your mind drifting away to a thought other than this self-inquiry, ask yourself, who is it who's having these thoughts or experiencing these thoughts? If If you notice sensations in the body, ask yourself, who's the one experiencing these sensations that come and go? If any emotions arise, ask yourself, who's the one experiencing these emotions? And returning to the question, who am I? Who's this one sitting here? And letting go of these questions and any answers that may have met it. Don't worry if any haven't. Any answers didn't arise. It's okay just to ask the question, let it linger. Live your way to the answer. So we'll begin a silent mantra practice now. This mantra is to be repeated silently, and you could coordinate it with your breath or simply just let it arise naturally every few seconds or so. This mantra is Aham Prema. I'll spell it Aham Prema. Aham Prema. It translates to I am divine love, or I am pure love. You simply repeat this mantra silently, and every time you notice you're trying to figure out something or your mind's drifted away to another time or place, come back here and start again. Aham Prema. The repetition of the mantra is very gentle and relaxed. There's no need to enunciate. Just a gentle repetition, like you're listening to an internal chant. Aham Prema. And if you're waiting for something to happen, treat this as you would any other thought and come back to the mantra. We'll be meditating like this for about a few minutes. I'll keep track of the time. Continue to repeat the mantra easily. Keep coming back to it no matter how many times your mind drifts away. Remember, movement of the mind is one of the experiences that's natural in meditation. Aham Prema. Keep coming back. Be kind to yourself. Now stop repeating the mantra and simply sit here with your eyes closed, resting in presence. You can begin now to deepen your breath. Drawing your breath into your heart, even putting your hands on the heart as you keep your eyes closed. And I'll suggest some affirmations, and if they are comfortable for you to repeat silently, I invite you to do that, or you may have some of your own. I am pure love. I am loving. I am lovable. I trust myself. I trust this life. Life loves me. And as we slowly come out of meditation, letting your hands rest back in your lap, deepening the breath or inviting some movement into the body. Keeping your eyes closed as long as you like. And when you feel like you'd like to, you can slowly open your eyes. First with a downward gaze. And when you want to open your eyes all the way, do that. Behold the beauty before you. The beautiful faces on your screen. Beautiful space you're in. And how supported you are. So thank you for joining me. I bow to you, the divine embodiment of love. Absolutely beautiful time we've spent together. Thank you for joining me and the feast. It's always important to come out of meditation slowly. And affirmations, I found them very challenging at first, and maybe you have ones that you love, and I invite you to put them in the chat. But I love to see what comes up to defend me against those beautiful affirmations. What is some other story? So I like to see what comes up, so I can see what stands between me and the truth of the matter. So I invite you to do that too. And the questions, who am I? Who's the one who's thinking this thought? Who's the one who's feeling these feelings? Who's the one who's sitting here? Who's the one asking the question? These are good questions to ask. Of course, they're almost like koans. A koan is K-O-A-N-S, the questions that you ask yourself in the Zen Buddhist tradition that have no answer, that stop the mind. Like, what was your face before you were born? That's a koan, because of course you can't know that. So koans are good, and that is probably the number one koan is, who am I? Who am I really? And you can go on and on and on and ask yourself all day. So with transcending in meditation, whether you did it or not, you won't necessarily know. But we meditated there for over 20 minutes. And for those of you who lost track of time, it may have seemed like 45 minutes. It may have seemed like 15 minutes or 5 minutes. And it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It simply means you transcended the world of relativity. Words, ideas, time, space. You could have maybe lost track of your hands and feet. You transcend the world around you that tends to charm you, and you dive into the experience of being. It's not even an experience. You dive into being. It's like a wave diving back into the ocean of love, the ocean of consciousness, the ocean of presence, the ocean of being. And we can do this, and reliably, as a way to transcend the outer world, and it becomes less dominant, less disturbing, less dramatic, and we recognize what really matters is how you are right now, how I am right now. This is what really matters. How are you? Where are you? Where's your attention right now? Can you do anything to come back to peace if you're disturbed? I know there's a lot of disturbing things going on in the world today, and we get to choose how we respond to it. And if we respond in a reactive way, we get to choose how long that's going to go on for. And then we get to choose some more. For people who are Catholic, today is Ash Wednesday, and it's the start of another 40-day practice period where you you give up something to always remember God or whatever, the divine in any moment. But as we dive into meditation, it dissolves our barriers, our beliefs about ourselves, our self-limiting behaviors, and it allows us to bask in the essence of who we really are. And it's like there's an analogy that it's like diving into a pool and coming out wet with the water of the pool. Eventually it dries off, but if you were to do that over and over again, you get to be very familiar with the qualities of the water, the coolness, the softness, the flexibility. And that's what happens in meditation when we do it regularly. I'd even say twice a day. That's what I do. You come out wet with the water of your own spirit, so to speak. The beauty, the presence, the wisdom, the responsiveness rather than reactivity. So that's what I recommend. And Transcendence, you won't know what happened. So you just have to set a timer. Not one that's going to make you jump up to turn it off, but one that keeps track of the time so you don't have to. Nothing that's going to alarm you, though. Let me see the affirmations. Anyone put any in here? My affirmation: I'm so happy and grateful to work my life purpose. That's beautiful, Deb. I'm divinely guided and protected. I am an entirely good person. I love that one, Jay. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to stop the recording now.